So today we have in front of us this Jackson Dinky. Now if you notice, this is a left-handed Jackson, so you don't see those that often. But this is a left-handed guitar. It's not a right-handed guitar strung upside down. This is an actual left-handed guitar. So Jacksons are known for having these dive bomb tremolo systems on, these floating tremolos. So we're going to show you how to change strings with these floating tremolos. So the customer just wants the strings changed. He doesn't know how to do it. Typically goes to another big box store and gets his strings changed, but he decided to reach out. So these floating tremolos are typically Floyd Rose, and they're for dive bombing and for going back the opposite direction to get those wonderful sounds that the shredders usually get on these Jacksons. So the first thing we need to do is get these broken strings off. It looks like several of them are broken. So we're going to work on getting the strings off, and we're going to show you how to change strings on a floating tremolo. All right, the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to remove these locking screws on the nut. So the way this guitar works is it locks here at the nut, it locks again down here at the bridge. It gives it lots of stability when you are doing those heavy tremolo presses. The dive bombs is what they call them. So we're going to unlock here at the nut. So the way this works is, I'll bring the camera over here. You can see this particular nut here. There are 3 spots to unlock. So we're going to unlock those, we're going to remove these, and we're going to set them aside in the position that they came off. These are 3mm Allen wrench screws, hex. And they're going to turn left. Lefty loosey. There's 1, 2, and 3. Alright, so now that these are loose, we're going to pull these off, and we're going to set them here on the side in the order that they came off. Alright, now we're going to loosen these strings. Alright, now that we have those loose, I like to take my fret winder, and it has a cutter on it, and just go ahead and cut those. Then we're going to remove those from the peg heads. So this is always the first step in changing strings, obviously, is removing. So in order to not make a mess, I set them in front of me. And then I like to coil them for the trash can. Not sure who had their fingers on these last, but this is each one was done a little differently. This one's been tied in. I don't know why one was tied in and the others weren't. Alright, so now we're going to take these strings that I pulled off the neck, and I just like to coil them. Wrap it through. So they don't come apart in the trash can. So there you have a little bit neater of a mess of strings that you can throw away. Alright, so now we're down to the bridge here. I actually found the tremolo bar in the case. So we're going to push this tremolo bar down. And what we're going to do is, in order to keep this trem system up in the air, because we need to be able to access, you should slide something underneath the tremolo. So I've got a stack of index cards here. So we're going to dive bomb this, we're going to push this trem down, we're going to stick these index cards in there as far as we can, and that's going to keep our tremolo up in the air. Now you can use a wooden block underneath, you can use all kinds of different things to keep that tremolo kind of up and even. but I just stuck, as you can see, I pushed down and then put this right underneath that, like that. Now we do need to access these. So these are 3mm, and they will unscrew and then let you be able to take the end of the string out right here. So this is the second spot that they lock. So we're gonna do that real quick. We're gonna show you how that's done. Again, we're just gonna push this just a little bit so I can reach these Allen screws here. And these are number 3, should be number 3s as well. And they are. And we're just gonna loosen those. We're gonna get them all, even though there's not strings in all of them, because we're gonna need to be able to access those spots. All right, now that that's loose, we'll open that up a little bit more, just a few turns, and you might have to finagle them a little bit. They don't look like they're moving the best, but then you just pull the string out. So we'll pull that string out and this string. Put our cards back under there. All right, if you notice the ends of these strings that just came out, they do not have the little ball end on them. So they need to be cut off, and we're gonna show you how to do that here in just a second. But this set of strings, this is the back end of the string, they can go in the trash. All right, so now we have the locking nut. We have the locking nuts off. We have the locking saddles unscrewed. So that's completely off, and all the strings are off, was what I should say. So now this gives us a perfect opportunity to clean this up, condition this fretboard, clean the headstock, and do all those wonderful things that we do. So we're going to clean this with some naphtha and put some lemon oil on that, and we'll go through those steps super fast. Alright, so we have the lemon oil on there. We're going to let that set about 10 minutes. So pretend like the time's ticking away here, and we'll come back in 10 minutes. Alright, it's been about 10 minutes that that's been sitting on there, so we're going to go ahead and wipe the oil off the neck, the fretboard I should say. This fretboard did look dry. This guy told me that he hasn't played this instrument in over a year, so it obviously has been sitting. It already looks better. All right, being this is left-handed, I can't let it throw me off since I'm right-handed. I gotta get the strings on in the correct order. All right, so I went ahead and checked these nuts up here as well on the headstock to see if they were tightened, and they were tight, most of them except for one, so I went ahead and tightened those. But that's a process that I always do when I am changing strings. It's just a good time to check those screws and check your fretboard and condition. And if the customer wants it, you can go ahead and do a polish on these frets at this time. Although we're not doing that for him today. These frets actually look pretty good. All right, so we're ready there. So we have Ernie balls. Ernie balls are my favorite strings. He has custom, what are these? They're a custom gauge. I guess they're a 10 to 42. A lot of people will do 9s on these style guitars. Let's see what he has here. Yeah, they're 9 to 42 is what we are. Custom gauge. So I always like to start with the thicker gauge, so we're going to start away from us on this one, and we're going to do the thicker gauge. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut this ball off because it has to go down into this Floyd Rose trim. So if you notice at the end of this ball, there's also some wound string wound metal. So we want to get up above that wound section. So about right there. And we're just going to snip it. So now we have no ball at the end, and that's going to go down inside of this locking system, and it's going to lock in place. Okay, so we're going to take our string here with the end that we just cut off, and get this out in front of us, and we're going to put it down inside, and it doesn't go very far, just goes down in there just a slight bit. And then we're going to turn this till it's hand tight. Then we're going to take our Allen tool and we're going to tighten that the rest of the way. Nice and snug, not overly tight, but snug. And then that should keep that from coming out. So we give that a little tug, and there we go. So that's nice and tight. So we're going to do that for the rest of the strings here, and then I'll show you how to deal with them up the neck. So just stay tuned.
Sometimes you need to let loose, grab juice, get goose, tattoos, taboos, get screwed. Loosen up, buttercup, all those hate comments will never make you feel enough.
All right, we have all 6 strings loaded into the Floyd Rose system here. They're all tightened down with the set screws here in the back. One thing I didn't mention is there is a little channel in each one of these that the string goes through onto the saddle. So you do need to make sure that your string is kind of centered when you get it in there. There's not much play, so it's not hard to do. And then these are our fine tuners right here. So these need to be unscrewed the whole way. We want to be able to leave us some space for adjustment. So we definitely don't want them screwed down the whole way. Typically these things go flat, so you need to tighten them. So unscrew them the whole way and give them 2 turns. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. And then that allows you enough room to go down and up. So now we're going to come back up here to the headstock. So let's shift our camera a little bit. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm pulling up the low E string and the A string, and I'm getting them up here through their slots, their respective slots. And I guess some people wouldn't take these nuts off, but I took them off. And then I'm going to lower this nut down, locking nut where it was, and just start to screw that back in just by hand, just to get that in place. So that is not tight, but I got that back in position there. Actually, let's do that again. I didn't get that quite right. All right, I got that back in position. So now you have 2 strings up here that are ready to go. So the way we like to do this, get these out of the way. Let me show you this here close up. So I've got it locked in. Now it's not locked tight, it's just hand tightened there. So these will slide in and out. But I got that back down, and each one of these strings is in their respective slot on each side. All right, so now what I like to do is I like to leave about enough string for 2. I go up 2 posts, 2 pegs, and count, and then I'm going to clip right there for this low E string. So 2 pegs, clip, and that's going to give me just about enough space to get that particular string in here. Let's line the hole up. All right, we're going to pull that through just a little bit. And then you want your string to be this way on the inside of the headstock. So make sure you're turning your peg head towards you. Speed this process up, and you want this little, where you cut, this little knob here to stay on the top of the string. You want that to stay on the top of the string. So when it wraps around, it coils underneath that spot where you cut. And you should get about 2 coils doing it this way. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. Make sure you coil under. Keep everything towards the bottom, under the previous wrap. That's how you keep it nice and clean. All right, we got that one. So let's do the next one. So once again, I'm going to line the peg hole up here. We're going to pull this up. We're going to go 2. So let me show you what I mean by that. 1, 2, and then we'll cut right there. That's where we're going to cut. And we'll trim that. And we're going to take string number 2. I pulled it out. Let's put it back in there. Oops. We're going to go through our hole just a tiny little bit. Turn to the right. Keep it under. All right, and so on. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of these. Alright, so we got the strings on this Jackson. Once again, this is a left-handed guitar, so the high E strings at the top, low E strings at the bottom here in your view. So at this moment, we still do not have the locking nut tightened, and we still have the cards under the tremolo. So now what we're going to do, we obviously have to tune this. So we're going to hit the bar there and pull the cards out. And we're going to get this thing tuned to pitch just the way it is. Without locking these, we're going to get it tuned to pitch close. Then we're going to lock these down and do a couple extra things. So watch along with that. I'm going to plug this thing in. Tuner. Alright, we're going to start getting this to pitch. Alright, so you get the drill. I'm going to continue doing, plugging away at this and getting this in tune. And then I will turn the camera back on when we are ready to lock everything down and fine tune it. Stick around. Alright, so now we're going to tighten these. So we give those snug but not overly tight. Snug will hold them. When I say snug, you're going to make them tight. You're just not going to turn them as hard as you possibly can. Alright, and then we're going to check again because they're going to be out. Alright, I'm surprised. So they're good. So we'll fine tune with these here. I'm real close already. Like that E is just a little bit sharp. So we back off of that. There we go. We're in. The A is slightly sharp. There we go. D is on. G is slightly sharp. So is the B. So if you remember earlier, we loosened these the whole way and then gave them 2 turns. Alright, we're in. Alright, so we're in tune the whole way through. So now the next thing I've got to do is I have to obviously check the action on this and then plug it in and give it a test. After I check the action, we'll retune. We'll let this settle in for just a little bit. So, but that is how you change the strings on a Jackson dinky. So the strings are changed. So that's what this video pertained to. So I'm not going to go through the setup process. But we have the new strings on this lefty, pretty cool guitar. But once again, we put new strings on the Jackson dinky. We showed you how to take the old strings off, loosen the nut, loosen the saddles, take the strings out, prop the saddle up, or the tremolo, and then from there we cut off the ball heads of each string. We put the strings in, we laced it up, we put them through the nut, put the nut back on, and then we gave it a tune. So we should be good to go. So I hope you learned something from this video, and that, my friends, is how you set up how you change strings on a Jackson dinky on a Floyd Rose style tremolo. So again, I hope you learned something from this. Please follow along, like, and subscribe to the channel. Look for other videos that might entice you to try some other things. And then I will have a link in the description below on some of the tools that I use to set this up and change strings. So look for that as well. So once again, this is Residence Repair Co. signing off.